we're in action. Beautiful. Well, welcome to Manu and Carlo for our first Taking Charge group call today. Manu, this is Carlo. Carlo, this is Manu.
Hi, Carlo.
Manu.
Maybe you want to just introduce yourselves in a nutshell so that you know where you're calling from, what it is that drew you to this program, and just a little bit about yourself. Manu, would you like to start?
I am Kia ora Carlo. I am a dentist in Invercargill, in New Zealand, and I have 4 children, and I've recently returned from Australia, and I'm just looking at trying to develop different models of oral health care delivery, and just need a bit of focus and skills to be able to undertake the things I want to do.
Right.
Awesome. Kia ora, Manu. Thank you. Carlo, go for it.
Sure. So I'm in Nelson, New Zealand, where I've lived for 22 years now, since moving here from Switzerland. I've got 3 kids, kind of 2 businesses that keep me occupied part-time. Do a lot of environmental work, voluntary work, and that alike. And yeah, can definitely do with some extra tools to go towards a clearer vision and formulate that.
Awesome. Thanks, Carlo. And just wanted to say thank you so much for signing on today and for joining this program. I know that it means a lot to you to be able to have more focus and show up to really be that confident version of yourselves. And I can't express how many people want that, but they don't commit to it, and they end up staying in that stuck state for so long. So it's incredible that you've decided to take action and be able to seek support. And I was just talking to Carlo earlier, you know, you're not supposed to know how to do these things on your own, and you've gotten to where you got to with your current processes, and they've served you until now. And moving forward, learning how to think in a different way and change your results is a journey, and I'm here to really support you on that journey. So amazing that you've actually just showed up today and showed up for yourselves.
Right.
So how today is going to run, and I know Carlo has to run away shortly, but I'm going to be teaching you a model to start off this program, which is a really important mindset model to start to notice yourselves in the pursuit of achieving your goals, where your mindset sits. And this is a model developed by Remy Pearson, who was my mentor. And it's a variation of a model called Orbed. Has anybody heard of Orbed?
Not sure.
Okay. So the version of the model that I know, it's called Above the Line and Below the Line. And it's really the ability to notice our behavior. And when we can start to notice our behavior and become more conscious about the choices that we are making, we have the ability to create change. But what tends to happen is that we're on automatic, we're living and behaving, and if we don't know what to focus on, then we won't be able to consciously change the way that we're showing up. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah.
So an example of this would be if you are talking to one of your kids, for example, and you are noticing that you've told them something that you're not doing yourself, you know, that real do as I say and not as I do model. So that's something where you've noticed your behavior and you're like, I know that I shouldn't be saying this, but I'm saying it. So it's starting to really bring awareness into our daily thoughts and our habits and the way that we are operating, so that we can then catch ourselves and choose to upgrade ourselves. So I'm going to share my screen, and I've got the model here in front of me. And the model, like I said, is called ORBED. And ORBED is ownership, accountability, and responsibility. And then below the line is blame, excuses, and denial. So when we have a good breakdown of what is empowered behavior and what is disempowered behavior, we can then catch ourselves. So I'm really curious for both of you, what else do you think would be some behavior that is above the line?
Any sort of behavior you're asking for?
Yeah, any kind of behavior. What would be, so I've just said sort of empowered and disempowered. What do you think would be an above the line behavior?
Getting up early.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Eating well. Well,
And what would be the opposite of those behaviors?
sleeping in.
Totally. And what behavior is that when you're sleeping in? What are you doing?
Avoiding or escaping?
Awesome. Yeah, escaping is another one.
Below the line would be procrastination, which I'm great at.
Yeah. Good one.
Escaping, procrastination. What else? And you can talk about either below or above.
Having a realistic plan for your day on the above.
Love that. Absolutely. Because quite often we put pressure on ourselves and it's not realistic, eh?
Yeah.
Mm.
What else might be something that you know for yourselves that you play out, which is disempowered behavior?
That we play out.
As in like that you notice yourself doing.
Netflix. Distractions, easily distracted.
Yeah, nice one, Manu. That's such a big one, eh?
Mm. Probably part of the procrastination. Finding solutions would be above the line.
Awesome. Okay, last one, and then we'll move on.
Just positive communication.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. So for you each, what is the benefit of you having this model that you can refer back to.
So you're calling this the model? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some sort of accountability.
Hmm.
See what we're doing wrong. Are we above the line or are we below the line today?
Yeah, well said. And, we all drop below the line. It's totally normal. And the difference is when you drop below the line, but you stay below the line. And also, if you don't have conscious awareness of it, then you can't change your choices, right?
Where would enjoying the now be? Would that be above the line or below the line?
Great question. Well, it depends if you're enjoying the now and using it as an excuse to not take action for the future.
Okay.
So being in the moment and enjoyment would be above the line, but telling yourself that you're in the moment because you're avoiding something would be below the line.
Okay.
Does that make sense, Manu?
Yeah. I think I'm just trying to justify my procrastination.
That's a really common strategy that people run because they just want to be, taking it easy and being in the moment. But that's okay as long as you've created a plan for yourself. Like you can say, I know what my to-do list is for tomorrow. Today, I'm just going to fully relax and enjoy. And then you can be in the moment. And so what about for you, Carlo? What benefits is this going to give you?
Well, it's just pretty good navigation tool. Can definitely. I don't see when you first said it sounded like it was a quick and easy internal tool. Obviously it's quite visual, so you need to sort of reference what you've been just doing on that chart or stopping to analyze. But yeah, it's a very, very good quite motivational graphic breakdown of seeing where you want to go.
Yeah, well said. So I'll give you an example. Actually, my dad is hilarious when he gets into a state of blame towards the computer. And he yells at an inanimate object. And that is something that that in his behavior, it's a small example of how he blames the world. He blames because he doesn't take responsibility for his own lack of understanding.
Yeah.
So where in your life have you noticed that you drop below the line often?
Health.
In health?
So was that health?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My own well-being.
What about you, Carlo?
Inaction definitely sounds pretty, jumps at me. But also the avoiding procrastination sounds familiar too.
So when you see guilt below the line, how is guilt a disempowered behavior?
I don't know. I feel like I should have more guilt. And then
Should
I'm
have more.
more likely to do it. Whereas it's just sort of like, oh, well, another extension or something.
But is that guilt or is that motivation?
I don't know. In my mind, I would like to have achieved things before the due date. But I tend to do it 10 to the due time. It's just habits, I think. I think we're just like stuck in just in a bad habit of leaving things to the last minute, inaction.
And maybe that's worked for you your whole life because you're resourceful enough to pull it off.
But I get tired now and I can't do all-nighters. Yeah.
And also potentially haven't weighed it up with what it's costing you. So moving forward, one of the important things to remember is that the first step is always awareness. Without awareness, we can't make the changes. And when you're checking in with yourself, being able to have compassion for where you are sitting on the line, because the first step is noticing that behavior and trusting that you are on this journey to change, but that you don't need to know how to change yet, because you're just putting your hand up to figure out how.
Is that more around the guilt part as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the guilt is holding you back, whereas a level of neutral observance and acceptance is lets you look to be above the line.
Exactly. Well said, Carlo. Exactly right. And when we go into those shame behaviors and shut down, that's disempowered behavior. But when we can have awareness of the things and lean in, because we notice ourselves shutting down, and by lean in, I mean choose to be aware of it and not continue down the rabbit hole. But we're still allowing ourselves to feel what we're feeling because we haven't broken that habit yet, and we're addicted to those feelings. And it's more your body, you want to stay comfortable. You want to stay within those patterns because that's your comfort zone. So being above the line more often will be outside of your comfort zone. So it's supposed to feel uncomfortable for you to stop and have that awareness and then choose a different way of being. So why is this significant to you?
Because all the things below the line are disabling me from achieving the things I want to do above the line. And I suppose it's more sort of 70 below the line and 30 above the line. And in order to go to that next step forward, I would need to have a bit more. I would need to flip the other way, really, if I want to achieve the things that I think I can.
Awesome. Yeah, well said, Manu. So just being able to have more of the time living above the line would change your results.
And I'm hoping that practicing them or make it more habitual than struggling to achieve them. The things above the line, because it all seems like a lot of effort above the line,
Hmm.
which makes me want to stay below the line and not reach my potential.
And potentially you were below the line because you didn't know what behavior to play instead.
Well, I hope so.
So when you find yourself in that excuses or defensiveness or whatever the behavior you're playing, being able to stop and think, how could I be resourceful about this? How could I break this down more? And then you've got a pathway to be able to associate with a different behavior.
Mhm.
What about you, Carlo? How's this significant to you?
It's quite significant. Like, yeah, it's like a compass to keep yourself on track, and yeah, doing that in a non-judgmental way sounds, yeah, very good. Putting yourself on the map.
Totally. And one of the really powerful parts of empowering ourselves is to be able to say, I fucked up, or I mucked something up.
Mm-hmm.
Because quite often we are giving ourselves excuses or blaming outside things. And when we start to take responsibility for what it is that we haven't been able to achieve, for example, Marnie, you might be able to say, like, I haven't been modeling good eating well. And being able to express that is something that's going to be really important for your healing. Because if we push it away and we avoid it, and we don't take responsibility for the way that we have been, then we haven't acknowledged that within us. And so there's a certain amount of kind of grieving that you have to do to let go of those behaviors. And the first step is saying, I just didn't know how to. And with the tools that you had at the time, you haven't been able to change. But now that you're aware of it, you are able to take more responsibility for the impacts of it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree.
So, Carlo, I'm aware of your timing. What time do you have to leave?
1:30. I think we're pretty close, eh? Yeah.
Okay, all good. So just for your homework, Carlo, I would like you to write down when you notice yourself going into below the line and above the line behaviors. And I'll send out an email with this recording and also a sheet that you can start putting all your homework on.
That's good.
Okay.
Sounds very good.
Thanks for
Rightio.
joining.
Okay.
Thanks,
Nice
Carlo.
meeting you, Manu.
You too. We'll see you next week.
See you next week, indeed. Won't have anything planned then. Very good.
Thank you.
See you guys.
See ya. So, Manu, for you, when you think about taking responsibility for the way that you've been until now, what comes up for you?
What do you mean, like?
Like we talked about the guilt, and we talked about
Probably
now
the
that
shame. Probably the shame of bad habits, and like incompetency comes to mind, but I'm not incompetent. Just more lazy to complete things. But then, like Carla was saying, like, having a realistic plan as well is good. Sometimes I plan too big, and then, yeah, I'll have one day to achieve what I should do in 3 months, sort of a little bit at a time. And I think that's probably why I've failed at diets or exercise plans, because it's like, yeah, let's just fast for 3 days. It's just yeah.
Mm.
And then I suppose all the the guilt and shame of it will stop me from trying again.
Absolutely. So, what needs to shift for you to start breaking things down and being more realistic?
Getting good tools to be able to do that.
Totally. So, the framework that I'll teach you will help you break things down, definitely.
Hmm.
And what else?
Yeah, having small goals rather than, finding the blessings in small achievements, I assume.
Love that. Definitely. And
Yeah.
potentially giving yourself acknowledgement for those small milestones.
Hmm. Like even my list to do today was a huge list, and I've achieved half of it. I haven't done the big things yet, but I'm happy with what I've like. I was still up early. I only gave myself 10-minute breaks and then got back into it, started doing the next thing, got distracted by little things I had to do. But they were all on the list of things to do. They weren't like, oh, let's just scroll on my phone for an hour, or let's just watch this program. I didn't do any of that all day today. And yeah,
Amazing.
yeah,
Really
it's
well
been,
done.
yeah, but I had to take the day off work to do that. So I'm sort of a little bit of guilt in with it as well. But it was because, yeah, mentally, would not have made it through today trying to get all of these things done by the end of this week, which is what I had to do.
Okay. Well, it sounds to me like you are learning how to break things down more, but it's also about you acknowledging those small wins along the way
Mm,
so you can continue to plan and have those small wins along the way rather than needing to take the day off work again
mm,
because you're acknowledging the small habits that are going to make a bigger difference over a period of time.
mm.
So you mentioned that there's some shame and some guilt when you tell yourself that you're incompetent and lazy. Tell me more about that.
Well, I don't mean it in a negative way, even though it sounds super negative. Um, I think I lack it, that I have this expectation on myself that's probably, no, I don't think it's too high, that I am, a lot fitter than I am, and that I'm a lot more, yeah, I have a lot more potential than I use, and I think I realize it because I see it in my children not living up to their potential. If with my older two, and then I can see the frustration my mother probably had. But I was always a busy teen, and in my 20s, I was always busy and did a lot of uh, and and academic achievement. I valued academic achievement, and I think I value it now, but I'm not. it's not a prize for me. I think in the past it was a prize for me. For me, it's the journey, I think, more. Um, and yeah, so I think if I can't, I think it's just the fact that I've got so many balls in the air
Mm.
that I feel like I need to be achieving 100% in each of those balls because they deserve it, but I don't have the energy for that. So it's like, do I work on myself or do I just keep working uh, on these balls? Yeah, and I suppose I feel guilty if I drop any of those balls, and
Mm.
then I feel shame that I haven't met either my own expectations or the expectations of the people waiting for me to deliver those balls. Yeah.
Okay. So is it potentially about you managing expectations around you and communicating more so that you don't have to put so much pressure on yourself to achieve in a small time frame?
Yeah. I think my highest expectation is on myself, though. I think those around me will just take whatever. Um, I just feel like my time is limited. So, I've juggled all these sort of balls before 20 years ago. I should be able to do it now with a little more finesse, but I'm not. Yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use the model and understand when you are below the line, where that behavior comes from, what you can do as an approach when you notice it within you. How does that sound?
Good. Just do procrastination because it's probably my biggest one.
Okay. So as you understand, we all play out behaviors, and that's why I say play out behaviors, because it's us as humans, we develop our behavior unconsciously, and we play out strategies within us to help us meet our own needs. And quite often, the procrastination strategy is because we are trying to meet the need of safety within us, that we currently don't feel safe to go out into the unknown, or have a fear of what it is that we might become if we stop procrastinating, and that future version of ourselves is unknown to us, and therefore we use procrastination as a strategy to not take action. How does that sit with you?
Yeah, I'm a little confused. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. Sorry, can you say that again?
So procrastination is a strategy that we play out to keep ourselves from experiencing all of us, all of our greatness, because there could be a fear of what would happen if we were all of us, if we were in our true potential, because we don't have a relationship with that version of ourselves, because it's unknown to us.
I would love to have a relationship with that person. And I would like to get the all of me. That's what I'm trying to work towards, getting the all of me. So removing any barriers that's going to present her would be great.
So part of this is developing a better relationship with her, with the future you that doesn't procrastinate and is able to take action. So understanding what it is that it would be different about her.
Mm.
And then the other part of it is recognizing that when we have this procrastination strategy, it comes from us needing to protect ourselves, because we have two parts within us. We have the adult, who's you, who's growing up, and there's the child inside you that is still afraid.
Mm.
And we need to nurture that child to be able to reparent ourselves to go out into the unknown.
Mm. Okay.
So when you notice that you're procrastinating, what could you tell the younger version of Manu that might be going into that protection mode? What would she need to hear in order to come out of her shell and trust herself to go into the unknown?
I'm just thinking, just do it. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
So you're thinking about, you're talking to your younger self.
Mm.
How would just do it affect a child, for example?
Yeah, my children wouldn't do it. I said just do it.
So how would you speak to them, or how would you speak to younger you when you know that they wouldn't respond to just do it? What else could you say instead?
It'll be okay. It's not the end of the world. Got your back.
Awesome. And so when you understand that this behavior is a part of your psychology, it's a part of you that is holding you back for a reason, what difference does that make to you?
Mm. It's a little supporting. It's a bit, yeah. A difference to me in terms of procrastination or in terms of development. Yeah. It's I don't know if it is my younger child that is procrastinating. That I'm like, yeah.
What is the fear that you think the younger child has to create the procrastination strategy?
I don't know, maybe fear of judgment.
Mm.
I'm thinking a lot about public speaking for some reason, that it's just, that is my biggest fear, like as a child and as a now.
Mm.
Just one second. Can you close this door, please, Stella? So, sorry.
It's okay. Okay, so what I'm hearing from that is that there's a fear of judgment underneath that behavior.
Mm. Yeah.
And what comes up within you when you think about that?
And maybe like inadequacy, like it's not going to be good enough. Things won't be good enough.
Mm.
But then I think about what you've said in the past about self-sabotage as well. And then maybe I'm just saying that all in my own mind.
Well, the thing that we need to remember is that all of behavior plays out for a reason. So having this above the line and below the line model means that when we play out these below the line behaviors, it's not just, oh, I'm annoyed that I can't take action. It's being able to stop and have the awareness that that behavior is coming from somewhere. So asking ourselves, what is the fear here? Or what is underneath this that is going to give us more understanding of why we are feeling that way?
Mm.
Then as a result of that, being able to acknowledge and support ourselves when those fears come up, because fear is not rational, it's irrational.
Mm.
And so the fear creates the behavior, but when we can understand what the fear is, then we can acknowledge the fear and the behavior will get easier.
Mm. Okay.
So what would be your first step when you notice that you're going below the line?
To recognize what it is. What am I fearing? Hmm. What if it is things like, um, how it's eating well and I'm not eating well
Hmm.
and it's below the line and there's just food there and I'll just eat it. How do I recognize it that way? The ones below the line. Like having a healthy lifestyle, I can't think of I wouldn't why I would encourage myself to not eat well. It's sort of out of laziness, I feel.
So if you ate well, that would mean that you would start achieving your goals. But if you don't eat well, that's you either procrastinating on your goals or sabotaging your goals. So what's the fear underneath when you are not eating well? What are you avoiding?
Yeah, I do feel like I'm like I seem to be sabotaging my own goals as soon as I start them.
Yeah.
I don't even know why. Yeah.
Well, this is why we do these activities, but you're not supposed to know how to change this, because remember, this is all unconscious behavior that is, excuse my French, fucked you up until now because
Yeah.
you created it with your psychology.
Mm.
Now you're learning about your psychology and how to acknowledge it and move through it. So ask yourself, by not eating well, what am I avoiding?
Looking well. I don't know. Being well.
What else? What is the underlying fear that you are avoiding putting yourself out there? Or is it that you're avoiding having to take responsibility?
Mm. Yeah, both of those things. I don't really want to put myself out there, but I'm out there anyway. So I'd rather put myself out there looking better than I do and feeling better than I do. Mm.
Or is it avoiding having compassion for yourself because it's too vulnerable?
Mm. No, I feel like I'm just being lazy.
Hmm. And is that really true?
Well, from my actions, yes, or my inaction. But yeah, I don't know why I would do that to myself. But I suppose it's just sort of, yeah, you're just sort of busy and you just 5 years later and you're just sort of just getting by. Yeah, yeah.
So by keeping yourself busy, what are you avoiding?
I don't know, living well. Being the best version of myself.
And what's the fear underneath that? If you're not being the best version of yourself, what fear is stopping you from stepping into all of you? You mentioned fear of judgment. Is there anything else?
Both commitment and being an account, well, not accountability, but you know, when people look up to you and it's like, I don't want you to look up to me because I'm not where I want to be.
Mm.
Like you don't want to be on a pedestal because it's the higher you go, the higher you fall. And I suppose that is probably something I was told when I was young.
Right. So there's some solid beliefs in there, Manu.
Mm. Mm. And you don't want to be too standoutish, which I don't. I do fear that, being a little bit out of the group. Um, but I am in my career and lifestyle. I am, and that's already hard. So I don't know. I felt like I achieved so much more in Australia when I was surrounded by colleagues. All my close knit of friends were all academics and health professionals. And then I've come back to my high school friends and my family, and it's I love it. But yeah, it's not the same. And yeah, I've just put on so much weight and I'm just going out a lot more than I would. And it's bad habits. It is a completely different life to the life I was living 2 years ago.
So is this about you accepting that you will stand out because you're on a mission and building that acceptance? Because what I'm hearing is your identity is that you need to keep yourself small.
Yeah. I don't want to go anywhere without everyone around me. I don't want to stand out. Doesn't seem like a natural course for me. I think I always need to bring people with me. And I think that's probably where I'm struggling, is because I can't bring everybody, because I can't carry everybody. And yeah, and that's been tricky.
So it makes sense that you've been sabotaging your behavior because you don't want to stand out. And that's a really solid belief that you have ingrained in you, that the higher you go, the harder you fall.
Mm.
And then, of course, if your identity is in that, you're not going to be able to take actions because you haven't changed your beliefs, and you won't change your identity because that's what you believe to be true about yourself.
Mm. Yep.
So I wonder if there's another way.
Hopefully.
So what could you believe instead after this conversation?
That I am on a mission. That if I can just try to solidify that mission in my mind, then we'll be able to find the steps to get there.
Okay. And what do you notice since this conversation this evening? What do you notice is the thing that's standing out to you, the commitment that you want to make within yourself?
Well, I'm not going to procrastinate anymore. I'm going to recognise that, but then also have smaller steps. Like I think I had 20 things on my list today. I've achieved 11 of them. Like I should just take joy in knowing that I've done that and maybe just do one more today. I've got another meeting tonight and I've got a birthday, but I could definitely do one more on my list because I've got tomorrow. I've got 2 more days to achieve the rest of these things. But yeah. So as long as I don't procrastinate.
So maybe it's about looking at that above the line and seeing that being able to break things down and be resourceful about the way that you're achieving them, but also having that compassion for yourself will help you to be able to take more action consistently rather than setting yourself big steps and big goals and then falling short and then feeling that guilt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. And when you recognize you put together some goals, how are you going to work on your goals this week? What is your plan for how you're going to put your goals into action?
I'm going to finish this list of things to do. I also don't feel like I look really good. So I would like to have some me time and get my hair done and get some stuff done. If I can manage that, that would be great. And then I've sort of need to sort out some financial pathways as well. So it's just sort of looking at, ways I could do all of those things. Sorry.
So what I would say is having you time needs to be more of a priority.
Yeah.
So getting your hair done or having, an hour to yourself this week would be an epic shift for you to value yourself. That is going to start the up cycle of you starting to be able to have the energy to do everything else.
I might even have a coffee with a friend I haven't caught up with for a long time. It's always good to see her. Even though I have ticked the social box this week with everything else I was doing, but it was all pretty much family and work.
And I get it when you're changing friends groups as well, and you've got obligations towards your family, and it's harder when people around you are not understanding you and your mission. That's super, super hard. And I call these people well-meaning dream stealers because they do mean well, but they're seeing your mission through the version of the reality that they see in their limited lens. So not using that as an excuse, but knowing that that is their stuff and you being able to still rock on with your mission because that's important to you.
Yeah, definitely. I have 4 family members that are quite close that take a lot of my time, that are very self-centered. that I love to bits, but can take up my whole day, and it's not even my immediate family, my children. These are other people in my family. And it's yeah, that's stressful. Like even today, taking the day off, and I thought I'll get me a coffee this morning to motivate me. And then it was like, oh, I could go to my father-in-law's, mow his lawns, go to this, go to that. Like there's all these things that we can do.
Mm.
And it was like, no, just do your list and then you can do those things.
Awesome. Because that's like putting your oxygen mask on first, right?
Hmm.
You're prioritizing your mission so that you're going to have more energy and be able to then give it back to others. But if you don't have those boundaries in place and you're allowing others to suck your time, that's how you stay small.
Hmm.
Because you're putting their agenda above yours.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well done today, Manu. And I know that it's fucking hard to change these patterns.
Hmm.
I totally get it. And I know that you are showing up, trusting the process. I'm going to post a video and send a link out. So if you watch that in between now and our next session next week, and also a little bit of homework, just writing down when you notice yourself being above the line and when you notice yourself being below the line.
Cool. Okay, cool.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Have a good evening.
You too. Thanks.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.